All right, welcome. Today we're diving into one of the biggest challenges in project management. You know the one. Planning a project that's so far off in the future, the details are basically invisible. So how in the world do you even start? Let's get into it. I mean, seriously, this is a question every single project manager has to wrestle with at some point. You've got this big goal, maybe a deadline that's years away, but the path to get there, it's just a total fog. How are you supposed to build a detailed plan when you can barely see what's 6 feet in front of you?
So let's make this real. Picture this. You are leading a massive 7-year project. You and the team are trying to map everything out, but you slam into a brick wall. The stuff you need to deliver in year 5, year 6, year 7, it's all so far away that you just don't have the info to break it down into actual tasks. It really does feel impossible. Kind of like trying to draw a detailed map of a city you've only heard stories about.
And that, right there, is our central puzzle for today. We've got this huge project, a great team ready to go, but a future that is way too fuzzy to plan in detail. So, what do you do?
Well, we're looking at 4 possible ways to go, 4 different strategies. Do we call in an expert? Do we try to analyze the final product really closely? Do we just try harder to break it down? Or is there this other option, planning as you go? Let's dig into each one and see what makes sense.
You know, sometimes the fastest way to find the right answer is to figure out what's wrong first. So let's start with a little process of elimination. We're going to rule out some of the obvious, but in this case, mistaken ideas.
Okay, so our first option is path A, expert judgment. And this sounds like a total no-brainer, right? When you get stuck, you call on someone who's been there, done that. It's a totally standard and usually super valuable technique in project management. But here's the catch. Experts are amazing, but they aren't fortune tellers. The problem here isn't a lack of experience. It's a fundamental lack of information about what the future holds. An expert can give you great advice, but they can't magically invent details that literally do not exist yet. So while it's a really good instinct, expert judgment just isn't the silver bullet for this particular problem. Let's go ahead and cross that one right off the list.
All right, next up, path B. Product analysis. Now this is all about doing a deep dive on the final thing you're building to understand all of its little pieces. And that sounds pretty logical. If you know what you're building, you can just work backward and plan it out, can't you?
But here's the really crucial distinction. Product analysis helps you define what you're making, but it doesn't help you break down the work you need to do to make it. And our problem is all about the plan itself, what we call the work breakdown structure, or WBS. We need a way to schedule the doing, not just define the thing.
So path B is also a dead end for us. It's a great tool, for sure, but it's for the wrong job in this case. Okay, that's 2 down, 2 to go.
Now we get to path C, decomposition. I mean, come on, this is the definition of planning. You take big, scary things and you break them down into smaller, bite-sized pieces. This has to be the answer, right?
And boom! This is the beautiful, frustrating heart of our entire puzzle. The problem itself tells us we can't do this. We are trying to decompose, but we can't. So telling us to just decompose more is like telling someone who's run out of gas that the solution is to drive to a gas station. You see the paradox? It's impossible.
So yeah, path C is officially out. We have now eliminated the 3 most common sense, logical approaches. What in the world could possibly be left?
This is where we get to the aha moment. See, when all the standard tools in your toolbox don't work, it means you need a totally different kind of tool. It is time to reveal the real solution.
So yeah, we're stuck. All the normal roads are blocked. How do we break out of this planning paralysis and actually start making progress on our project? The answer is something called rolling wave planning. And it is so elegant because it's so simple. You stop trying to plan all 7 years down to the last minute on day 1. It's impossible. Instead, you embrace the uncertainty. You plan what's right in front of you, the near term, in excruciating detail, while you leave the distant future planned at a much higher, more general level. And this whole technique is a perfect example of a really important concept in project management called progressive elaboration. I love the analogy of a novelist. They know the ending of the book, but they figure out the specific details of each chapter only as they get to it. You are continuously, progressively adding more and more detail to your plan as you learn more.
So this all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like in the real world? How do you plan as you go without letting the whole project just descend into chaos?
Well, it's actually a pretty simple, repeatable three-step dance. First, you detail the heck out of the near term. The next few months are planned meticulously, down to every specific activity. Second, you just outline the future. You're just listing the big-ticket items, the major deliverables for work that's years away. And third, you just repeat. As you move forward in time, that distant future becomes the near term, and that wave of detailed planning just rolls forward with you.
And this really makes the distinction crystal clear. For the work that's coming up soon, you have a high level of detail, planned at the activity level. But for all that future work, you have a low level of detail, planned at the much broader work package level. The point is, you're not ignoring the future, not at all. You're just planning it with the level of certainty you actually have right now.
Okay, let's wrap this all up. What is the one thing you absolutely need to remember from all this, especially if you're managing complex projects or maybe even studying for your PMP exam?
Here's why this is such a game changer. Rolling wave planning gives you permission to start even when you don't have all the answers. It's practical, it's iterative, it embraces reality. Instead of trying to force details that don't exist, you strategically wait for things to become clearer. For any project that stretches years and years into the future, this isn't just a nice-to-have technique. It's absolutely essential.
And that's what I want to leave you with. Think about your own goals, whether it's at work or in your personal life. What's that huge, intimidating project that just feels totally unplannable right now? And how could you maybe apply this idea of a rolling wave to take that very first, very detailed step today while still keeping your eye on that big, amazing, distant horizon?